Hey everyone, 13 meteorologist Sean Ash here. We're going to spend a little time to kind of go into the nuts and bolts of this weather system. They don't really want to call it a winter storm for us per se, but impactful to travel at times. And again, I want to stress that this will not be a Wednesday morning situation, though there may be a little patchy freezing drizzle. Most of this is going to be late morning and afternoon, evening, the way it shapes up right now. What are we talking about in terms of impacts? Areas of heavy snow, that looks like it's going to be far northern Indiana. I'll show you that in a little bit. But it's the sleet, freezing rain, ice potential in what we're going to call the mixing bowl. And that what could cause some travel impacts here. What should you be thinking about? Well, you need to monitor the forecast because it is subject to change. Even though we're now less than 24 hours away. Slow travel at minimum because the roads are just going to be wet, but icy travel is very much a possibility in that zone that we'll show you here. School dismissal, early dismissals Wednesday, that's in play along with some delays or cancellations on Thursday. So these are some of the things you need to kind of consider as we move forward here. All right, so this is actually the second system. The first one is over southern Indiana today. Early Wednesday morning, not much on radar locally other than, again, maybe some patchy freezing drizzle. Not going to rule out a few slick spots. Once we get a little closer to the middle part of the day, into the afternoon, the wintry mix and the cold rain will start to increase. And then from 3 to 10, that's when we have the possibility of some ice accumulations and some slick roads. Exactly where and how much ice, that is still going to be uncertain. Keep in mind, a degree or two change at the surface, just above the surface, that changes whether or not you get a cold rain versus some freezing rain, or if you get some freezing rain versus some sleet. In terms of snow, heaviest northwestern Indiana, back out into Illinois, back out into the Quad Cities. That's where the teeth of the winter storm conditions are going to be felt. Now this zone could shift a little bit, and so that means the cold rain could go farther north and blanket all of the metro area. Could slide a little to the south. That's still in play here. In the mixing zone, we always stress too, less sleet, less freezing rain means a bit more snow compared to what we're thinking. In terms of travel impacts, greatest impacts, Chicago, Peoria, Davenport, Michiana border. And it's going to be a situation tomorrow where it ranges from just wet roads to that zone that we're talking about, that mixing bowl, Lafayette, Marion, Muncie. Within here, it can range from wet to icy. And again, it's just tough to say how much ice we're going to get, but we think that particular zone, if we do get ice accumulation, that's where it would occur here. All right, so the idea on the 2 to 5 inch snow, if we get zero ice at all, no mixing at all, then yeah, we should get a snow zone in Monticello in the 2 to 5 range. Same goes for this large pink area. If we don't get any mixing at all, then that should be the snow range. But we think there's going to be mixing, okay? And again, there's that fine line of just cold rain, no problems at all. And that very well could creep north and blanket all of the metro area. We just can't pull that trigger right now, okay? But South Bend, Valpo, Chicago, that's where we should get the heaviest snow totals with this particular system here that we'll continue to fine tune. So when we start talking about ice, and right now we don't envision an ice storm with this. I think, could we get a few pockets of a 1/4 inch? It's a possibility. It doesn't mean it's necessarily likely. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that I don't see us in this quarter, half inch where, we've got some major power outage issues. But some power outages, some pockets, yeah, it's a possibility. Windshields getting coated, bridges getting slick, some ice forming on tree branches to make them sag a little bit. Yeah, that is in play. But in terms of an ice storm, this doesn't really fit the bill. And keep in mind, there's a big difference on how freezing rain impacts roads and sidewalks versus sleet. Because remember with sleet, and we basically take a slice in the atmosphere. So basically there's going to be half our area is going to be nothing but rain. It's going to be warm enough that it's just falling and it's hitting, temperatures of 33 or greater. There will be a zone where there's this little warm layer aloft. So it starts to snow, it melts, and then it's hitting the sidewalks and the power lines and the trees that are below freezing, and it freezes on contact. Then there will be a little narrow zone where it starts to snow, it melts, but then it refreezes into ice pellets before it hits the ground, and that's sleet. Sleet's a little bit easier to drive on versus if you get a thin layer of ice. That's a completely different ball game. All right, so there will be these zones, and there's just no one that can tell you exactly how they're going to play out. We'll continue to analyze all the model data we can, but eventually, once we get to the middle part of Wednesday, then we're just looking at radar and surface observations, and then what's actually happening. But this is just the general rule. This is Wednesday morning, Future Track 13. You can see we talked about a little patchy drizzle being in play, and that's what this pink is. So I'm not going to rule out a few slick spots early tomorrow morning. You'll start to notice that the precipitation really begins to increase as we go into the afternoon and evening, and you can kind of see how things are, at least they're layered, if you will. Now, exactly where that zone is going to ultimately occur, that's still to be determined. But believe me when I tell you, even at 9 o'clock tomorrow evening, there will be at least half of our state is going to be saying, what is this system you're talking about? It's nothing but a cold rain, and we understand that, and that's what we're trying to let you know. But for the other half of the state, that's where we're going to get into a little bit of a dicey situation. So I just can't tell you right now whether or not Indy's going to be mostly cold rain, or if it's going to be a combo of cold rain, freezing rain, or if we're going to have a little bit more sleet, freezing rain. I just can't tell you that. But, but this is a pretty decent idea on the zones where it's mostly snow north, northwest, and then there goes that mixing bowl. By the midnight tomorrow, we're still have some precip, heaviest should be done. And then when we get into Thursday morning, the story's going to be twofold here. Whatever moisture is on the roads and sidewalks, overpasses, elevated surfaces, whatever does not dry from either the wind or the cold air coming in, it's going to refreeze. And so that means slick spots Thursday morning, in addition to some flurries and snow showers getting squeezed out of the cold air. And Thursday is going to be cold. Thursday is going to be a reminder that we're very much still in winter here, okay? So we just want you to be aware of that as we go into Thursday morning, all right? So show you the 7-day forecast. There's our weather impact alert day just for the travel impacts over the northern half of the state, Wednesday midday into Thursday morning. Thursday's going to be blustery. Valentine's is not a bad day. It's a cold start. Should have some sun before the high clouds come in. And then we'll be watching closely system number 3. Saturday into Sunday, a rain to snow situation, possibly some accumulation. So we'll be on top of that, and then a bitter shot of air as we go into next week. That's the latest right now. Stay with us. We'll continue to update you as we move through the next 24 hours, and we'll be on this for you. Keep you safe. We appreciate you choosing us for your local weather information.